Over the past 5 years, I think I've gone as far into the productivity rabbit hole as a human can with books and podcasts because I've been juggling full-time jobs with freelancing, YouTube, living on my own, studying a language, relationships, and constantly having to translate bills that look like this. But I think I've been able to boil it down to the 5 simplest and most essential activities that then allow everything else to take far less time, because now I'm able to do all of those things I mentioned before and still find time to read, study Japanese, go out, and write a newsletter. So I'm gonna share those with you in this video, as well as 5 or so things that can immediately help you clear up some time quickly. So let's get into the essentials. Pre-decide everything. If you want to make your life as time efficient as possible, this is the fastest way to get there. Pre-decide the clothes you're going to wear, the meals you're going to eat, the days you're gonna go out, the mode of transport you'll take, the spot you'll park at if you're driving, everything. I even did this with dates. You know, you go to a restaurant and the question comes up, where are we gonna go sit? I wanted to put a simple rule to make this so easy for me I wouldn't have to think about it ever again. So I just look up, and wherever I see the best light, that's where I sit every time in every single restaurant. Pre-deciding things gets rid of you having to spend any time thinking about these little things that end up adding up to a lot of time. The time spent making a grocery list, shopping, preparing food, eating, choosing what to wear for work, choosing where to park if you should go out for food tonight or not. Getting rid of all these small decisions on a weekly basis would immediately free up your time in the double digits, as well as give you a higher quality of free time as well, because it gets rid of decision fatigue, which is something we get from making a bunch of tiny decisions throughout the day that often leave us mentally exhausted after work. And decision fatigue makes you act much slower, which wastes time. It takes a longer time for you to get into a flow state with your task. So the quality of the time you do have is actually lower. This might be why you feel like you're never actually making progress despite working for a lot of long hours. And living with less decision fatigue actually leaves your attention way more energized. So when you do sit to do work, you can produce a higher quality of work, or if you're studying, you can retain more information. Batch tasks by energy. Batching tasks is common knowledge, but what I don't think is common is batching tasks based on energy. There's a concept called green zone, yellow zone, red zone, which basically measures the quality of your energy throughout a day. The thing is though that we all don't get to choose which of these energies we're going to use, especially if we have a full-time job. My most energized and productive time of the day is between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. and I'm at work then, so I don't get to use any of that time for myself. I'm actually usually getting home at my most exhausted time of the day and still have to find energy to do things. So I started organizing my evening activities based on how much energy it would require to do it well. A low effort activity like doing the laundry, which is just sorting clothing and hitting a button, or vacuuming my home. These are all really low energy activities that the tool itself is what's doing all the work. Including washing the dishes, because I'm not some weirdo that's gargling soap and then spitting it out onto the dish and licking the plate after to make sure that it's clean. I use a sponge, and I don't have to do anything. I just kind of have to be there and move my hand around while the sponge cleans the plate. I do these activities at the very end of my day or at the very end of my week, and I stack them together because I can both hit the button for the laundry and then go and vacuum my apartment, and at the same time make a phone call to a friend or family member so I can get some quality time with them while also getting all the unavoidable house tasks done, and it works as downtime for my brain after doing the more genuinely challenging activities like studying, writing, or editing a video. Batching the higher energy tasks also make a huge difference because we don't have to pay the cost of task switching constantly. If you think of your brain as a computer, then writing and studying are two completely different functions. Writing is an output function where we're thinking creatively and putting things out, and studying is more of an input function, at least parts of it. So when I'm planning my week, I'll put all of my writing on a single day, I'll put studying on another separate single day. But if you're in an unavoidable situation where you have to study consistently, like I'm in with studying Japanese right now, what I do is organize it based on what's more challenging to me, and that goes first. Studying, the input of studying is a lot more difficult for me personally, so I'll study as soon as I get home when I have the most energy remaining. Then I'll go into the less draining task of writing, then down to washing the dishes. Create trigger activities. Trigger activities are habits that you routinely do before getting into productive work, so it automatically prepares your mind and body to focus. It's training yourself to have a Pavlovian response to an event, like the experiment that Pavlov did with the dogs, where he conditioned them to salivate by ringing a bell and then presenting food to the dogs. And eventually, he would ring the bell and the dogs would salivate even without the food present. If you establish a trigger activity and then immediately get to work after doing that trigger activity, you'll begin conditioning yourself to almost immediately get into a flow state, because your body will know that once the trigger activity is done, you're going to sit and concentrate for 2 hours after that. You end up reducing the time you spend procrastinating or trying to convince yourself to be productive. You're not grabbing for your phone after you do the activity, and even if you do, your conditioned response almost redirects your attention to what it's expecting to happen, which is you being a productive human. Create a focus hour every week. The focus hour is an hour that you set aside at the start of the week where there are no distractions around, so you can identify the different types of tasks you'll have for the week, starting with the unavoidable task to sustain your life, like housework, relationship duties, appointments, then going into the tasks that you're trying to accomplish, like doing YouTube, studying, working out, and finally the little details of things you want to do but aren't essential, like reading a book, going for a walk, learning a language, anything you'd like to do. This lays out all of the tasks and things you'd like to do in front of you, so you can pull up your calendar and look at your time in a week perspective rather than in a 24-hour perspective. And this is important because if you're planning your days the night before or the morning of, you're probably using a 24-hour time period, sleeping 8 of those hours, and you go to work, which is about 8 to 10 of those hours as well. It genuinely feels as if you don't have time for the things that you love but aren't urgent. And a lot of those things that you'd like to get out of life will fall through the cracks. But if you do a focus hour and look at your available time as a week, assuming you work an 8-hour day all 7 days of the week, you're still left with 56 hours you can spread all of your important tasks and personal goals around, so you're not as pressed for time. And I really encourage a calendar for this because you can literally see where that time is. The focus hour also allows you to pair tasks together. So if you have a dentist appointment that you need to leave work early to get to, and you also have a book that you would love to read, having this information in advance would remind you to put that book into your bag so you can get something that you want to get done while doing something you have to get done. Done? And this applies to you riding public transport, doing the dishes and laundry, anything that can be multitasked, you'll be able to basically pair so you're not wasting any time. Create dedicated spaces. If you don't have a dedicated space to be productive, you probably spend a lot of time putting away and pulling out things from different places, running over to this closet to get something that's interrupting your workflow, which over the course of week, month, year is a lot of time that you could have spent way more efficiently. If you dedicate different spaces in your house to different activities, you can leave the things you need to use in easy to reach places and create a pattern of behavior in that space, so that once you get there, your tools are easy to reach and you already know exactly what you're going to do there. I live in a micro apartment and I film YouTube videos here. And even with this space restriction, I'm still constantly trying to find ways for me to simplify my workflow when I get to my desk so I can just start the things that I have to do. And the fact that you're always doing the same thing in that same spot creates the conditioning that then automatically slips you back into that productive mode whenever you get sat there, which then leave you with a much lower chance of getting distracted. Now, here are 5 things you can do to really quickly clear up some time if you're a really busy person. Keep a running to-do list of all the little things that take 10 minutes or more but aren't urgent in a note-keeping app, then pick one day for the week and do all of them at the same time. Automate things as much as you can. Type emails when you're in transit and schedule them to get sent. Schedule birthday greetings, and if you post content, schedule those as well. If something is going to take 2 minutes or less in your mind, do it now. Meal prep. Pick a day to sit and think about how you can spend less time doing things you already have to do, like checking email in a 1-hour block at the end of the day rather than every time a new mail comes up. And if you got value from this video, I think you'll enjoy this one here where I talk about how to stop feeling stressed. As always, thank you.